So growing up, I come from a two-parent home on the north side of Youngstown. Grew up on Alameda Avenue. Nice neighborhood for the most part. My parents took in foster kids at a young age. I didn't really take too well to that at first, but I didn't realize it was preparing me for the future work I would be doing. I just knew it was always kids, new kids coming in the house. I didn't understand like what was going on. At the time I interpreted it was rejection. Even though I know that my parents, that wasn't what they were trying to do, but that was kind of like what, was going on. It wasn't a horrible childhood, to say the least, but, it wasn't the best. So there were some things, that I had to struggle and overcome with. I had a best friend named Ezel. We were 3 days apart. In 10th grade, Ezel got killed. A month later, another friend of mine ended up getting killed. And then in December of that year, another friend of mine, Ezel, Lamar, and Jeffrey. That was in '97. And that really set a mindset of, man, am I gonna get killed?
Prison every day. Them spirits were busy, took a lot of friends away. The war was raging, pistol by my side. Spiritual warfare, couldn't run nor hide. Defeated and burnt out, I had to hit the floor. Yeah, he still destroyed. This war is real, they trying to take out your boy.
I lost my first best friend, 7th grade. He got murdered. He was in the shop house sleeping. Somebody came in and robbed the place, and they shot him in the back of the head. So at that point, I just started to feel not rage, but just like motivation. My grandma raised me. Grandfather died early. 6 brothers and sisters, so six of us all together. I guess the best way I could describe coming up, it was just it was a rugged grind.
Ezel got killed. We were 16 years old. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of frustration. And the guilt was more so because I couldn't help him. And so it kind of stirred something up in me that really made me want to help kids.
For me, it was a little different. My mom wasn't fit to raise him. So my great aunt, Ermalu, took me and my twin sister in, and she was my mom. That's who I consider my mom. We lived in this area for the majority of my life. In neighborhoods like this, you only get 3 things that you kind of know that you can be, right? That's the only thing you see, and that's either play ball, rap, or sell drugs. So for me, man, I chose ball. I fell in love with it. And I know a lot of guys that I grew up with in this neighborhood that are no longer with us because of gang violence or just being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Football for me was my out. Football really helped me release a lot of my anger. I can make myself think that player on the other side has something to do with my buddies getting killed. It had nothing to do with it. These guys are like, man, this dude is crazy. I'm like, no, you had something to do with killing my dog. They be like, man, I ain't did nothing, man. But I was able to channel that energy and destroy people. And it opened up a lot of opportunities for me.
I was kind of a bad kid. I'd get myself in a lot of trouble. Just anger issues primarily. I was just young and didn't really have a head on my shoulders.
Houses getting raided. People, like, one time watched my neighbor get shot. I had no hope. I didn't see a way out.
I like to say that I had a great home life, great community. I had a good mom. She was a single parent. About 12, my dad came back into my life, you know what I mean? He was always in my life, but just as far as living as a family unit. But we lived in the projects, so we didn't really know that we were poor, you know what I mean? So, everything was kind of sweet, It didn't really get violent around the neighborhood until I was about 14 or 15 years old. Me and my mom went through a very abusive period of our lives, getting out of the projects, but the environment was a little off the chain, man, you know? So, you know, I like to help kids, you know what I mean? Because of the way I grew up, you know? I need help. Opportunities are different in the Black communities. You can do everything the right way. Then once you get to that end goal, you like, okay, I'm supposed to get jobs now. I done graduated from college or high school, or now the job should be rolling, but sometimes that's not the case. And it might not be because you don't have the experience or something like that. It simply could be just the color of my skin. Being able to overcome stuff like that just means a lot.
The shooting was traumatic, but it also was a defining period in my life, crossroads, so to speak. So we at the house chilling and just hanging out in the living room watching TV. The next thing you know, boom, shots, pow. You know, right through the door, I got shot in the jaw on the first shot. You know, so I instantly just can't do nothing. I know my body was in like defense mode. I couldn't move. You know, I'm bleeding out the mouth. And then, you know, Tracy, she gets up, she runs across, she runs across the crossfire. She drops to the ground. And then I seen her stop breathing. I'm like, oh shit, survival instincts, you know, kicked in. I'm like, you gotta do something. So I call over to Tracy. Tracy, she's not speaking. So I'm digging my phone. And then I'm just on the phone with 911 until ambulance pull up and I seen the lights. I'm like, I can't unlock the door, y'all gotta come in. I'm like, me and Tracy, we in here. I can't do nothing though. They come in to kick in the door, you know, and I heard them say, you know, that Tracy had passed, you know. And at that point, they put me on the gurney, get me in the thing. I kind of just drifted out.
Jamel, while he was in ICU, and just seeing him was just like crazy because he was the victim. He wasn't the perpetrator. He wasn't in the wrong. And so it was tough seeing him go through that and seeing his dreams pretty much shattered.
He had a lot riding going for him. I didn't want to see him lose none of that. And just to see him hurt, it's just etched in my memory.
He had 30-something different offers, LSU, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, but he wanted to stay home and play at Ohio State. You know, so watching those dreams shatter, that was tough. That was tough.
There was a lot of guilt that I felt. You know what I mean? When you talk about choices that you made, you know, it's like all I had to do is not even go over there. Everything would be fine at that point. So I felt overwhelming emotion of guilt. You know what I'm saying? Every day I look in the mirror and I gotta redo it. I can't help but think about it because I see, you know, I don't know, that emotion, you know, I still carry with me to this day.
He's on a machine, you know, they're counting him out for sure. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I got like 4 of those stories that lived. I probably got 10 that didn't. So that's the emotional toll booth that you paying. You go in a dark place, you know, it's difficult not to. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult to see, you know, these boys' dreams cut short. And you knowing that society won't give them an excuse yet, they have an excuse.
My mom passed when I was 16, and then my best friend at the time, I used to always go to their house days at a time, then it became weeks at a time, and then, you know, when she passed away, they were like, man, you basically part of the family already. Like, you want to just live with us. So I became part of the Viner family. And they raised me from 16 to now 26. I'm part of the family.
His mom had passed away, and he was already a big part of our family. You know, when that situation happened and he was going to be awarded the state, that became a kind of an easy decision when Tim asked us about it, because you know, we knew we were going to let that happen. It was an easy decision because it was really the only decision at that point.
Mentorship is a lifestyle where two individuals collaborate and trust each other for them to achieve their maximum potential.
My initial experience with mentorship had to be in Change Factor. That was the first moment where I felt as if a person wasn't being paid to do what they were supposed to do. They showed that love factor, that family brotherhood factor, and they really drove home some serious things that I take with me through the rest of my life. Coach Tim, he was the first one that I ever had that really brought those values home to me.
Mr. Frost, he knew I went to technical school for HVAC, air conditioning. He called me saying that he had an opportunity. It sounded good, and then, you know, I wasn't sure if it was gonna come through, but it did. It feels good. It shows he's genuine because he's not just in it for the program, or else he would have ended it after I graduated. My mom always made sure I had clothes on my back and food. And we've been like moving all around since I was like 12. I grew up around my dad because he was in jail, but any older father figure that would show me love, I would like see them as, you know, like a father figure, I guess. A lot of times I'd be naive and think like people got the best interest in me.
Just seeing the principles that they live by, just incorporating them into my everyday life, and just being around their families and experiencing seeing different things. Like, my real actual father wasn't always in my life, so like they played father figure roles. Like, they there for me times I need them, when times I might get out of line. And you need those as a young Black man because you don't know how to express yourself. You know, being able to talk to somebody, they might have the same problems as well, having troubles expressing themselves.
Having the coach in front of a name means everything to a kid. You open up your ears, you listen. It's not your parents. You want to respect that person. It's like going over to your friend's house as a kid. You would never, ever, ever act out in someone else's house and risk getting in trouble because you know when you got home, mom and dad were waiting.
Each one, reach one, teach one. If I get one person to turn their life in the right direction, then I start teaching them. It's your responsibility to do that same system. Each one, reach one, teach one. Put in at least a minimum 3 years, 3 to 5 years. I tell people all the time, if you're not gonna commit to 3 to 5 years, then you might not wanna do this, because that's how you build, that's how you strengthen, that's how you support, that's how you get networked. So what people need is consistency.
Jamel Turner, he came over from East Middle School, and he was a freshman. You know, he had a lot of talent, but just raw, just unfiltered talent that he just needed to be refined. And he was at practice one day, and he just had to have rough practice.
I was a little fireball back there. One day I was doing my fireball thing at practice. I think I said, I'm not gonna practice no more or something.
And he quit. He called himself quitting.
He was like, oh no, you gonna practice or you gonna have to fight me, big dude. You know, so I looked at him, you know, I'm like, all right.
I said, I'm not gonna let you quit. I said, you gonna stay on this field, it's too easy to quit. Life is too easy to quit. Quitting ain't an option out here.
You gonna barrel crawl till I tell you to stop, so you punish me. I grew an even deeper respect for him.
Sam was always good at talking me off the edge, and that's what you need, somebody to talk you off the edge, and maybe you don't see it, but he does.
There's definitely some times when I would get in trouble with my parents and my parents would tell Tim. He would definitely make me pay for it, but at the same time, help me to understand, you're more than that. You're better than that. So I think I definitely took that with me.
I forgot to turn in a worksheet in middle school. He said, "You're not playing in the first half. This is a championship game. This is a championship game versus Chris and his team." He was like, "Hey, you're not playing." I'm like, "It's a worksheet. It's a small worksheet. I mean, everything else is turned in, but it's like, no, I'm teaching you for life that if you don't do what you need to do, you don't get what you want." And I really am thankful that he did do that.
I would say mentorship is really just helping with life, right? Letting them kind of live their life, but helping put some guardrails beside it and say, "Hey, I've been there. I made these mistakes. I'm not preaching at you. I'm just telling you that you're going down a path that's not going to work for you."
I didn't really have a father figure. I was on my own really since like 13, bouncing house to house, couch to couch. I got PTSD, like I've been around shooting cousin them getting shot before. Shoot, I done been shot at myself. I done been shot recently. I didn't want to put myself in that position, but there's certain stuff that still sit on my conscience that I regret doing. And now I'm saying in here that this is exactly what he didn't want me to end up at. And it was like, I felt like I disrespected him by ending up putting myself in this position. He felt like I gave him a slap to the face unintentionally. So like, I felt guilt on my conscience when I first got here. I ain't even think about disappointing my mom and thing. I didn't disappoint Mr. Frost.
Well, I think mentoring is something that happens naturally. It's something that when you start working with someone, it's over time, it kind of develops more than a mentor looking for a mentee. I think just the consistency of a person, it kind of just naturally develops into mentorship.
Met Tim at the Hope Center. And never forget when it was getting built, they said, "Man, we want to honor you for the things that you've been doing in the community." And they mentioned that they wanted me to meet this gentleman, and it was Tim. And we just hit it off, and I never forget it.
I looked up to him. He played for the '85 Bears, as he says, the greatest Super Bowl team. So he was just a role model just because he fulfilled a lot of the dreams that I wanted. But he was just a very humble person. So the Change Factory is a platform, ultimately, to give hope to the hopeless. HOPE is an acronym. H is for healing, O is for opportunities, P is for preparation, and E is for endurance. Each of those letters, essentially, they give a person a chance. And so that's the real mission of the Change Factory. It started off as a change factor, but it evolved to the Change Factory. And that factory is that Y. That Y stands for the city I'm from, Youngstown. But everybody needs that runway to take off. And so the launch pad concept, that's where that comes from. Launch pads be transition homes for kids who have turned 18 and they're not really sure what they want to do. They don't know if they want to go to the military, they don't know if they want to go to college. It gives them an opportunity to leave and get exposed to another area so they can at least think. Big picture is having launch pads across the country.
Who knows where I would be during these 10 years if I was at home. Like I said, in my mind, I feel like I did nothing to nobody and I still got shot 7 times, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I could have been the same thing happen again during these 10 years that I've been down here. I hope karma caught up with me. Whatever I did in this life, everything that I went through, I hope my karma's all paid up. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't doing nothing then, but I had done stuff previous, you know? Never murdered anybody, I never hurt anybody, but I done stuff that probably could have affected someone's life unbeknownst to me off of selfish choice, you know what I mean?
Change factor is what brought me up. You know, it stands for communication, humility, attitude, nutrition, goals, and education. That's what I put into my brain, how I treat people, the way that my attitude affects certain situations. And when you're talking about sports, it affects the game. And you have to make it your number one goal, to inspire people to do great things.
I always tell any mentee that when I reach out to you, it's your responsibility to reach out to somebody that's coming behind you, the next generation coming behind you, whether it be a nephew, whether it be a schoolmate, whether it be a player that you play with on a football team, basketball team. Your responsibility, because I'm reaching out to you, I'm pointing to you. It's your responsibility to do that same system. Each one, reach one, teach one.
Mentorship is the most important thing a person can have because it teaches them how to be a better person. I think my purpose is to change lives and be an agent of change.
The misfortunes you're going through as a child, you can change as an adult. Like, don't think this is forever. So giving kids a brighter future to look forward to and just helping them through their struggles is something I take pride in, helping people like that. And that's just a testament to what they taught me and showed me throughout life.
I think that's the part that people miss more than any other, is that our kids came from much easier life than Fred has. So I think them seeing all the things that he had to go through and overcome was a huge blessing for them. So from that standpoint, I think it was at least an equal blessing for us than, you know, as it was for him, and it still is.
End up in a group home. That's where I'm currently living, trying to get my life back together and get back with mom, stuff like that. Mr. Frost helped me along the way, so yeah. Getting a job for the rest of my life or something like that, I'm pretty sure I wasn't going in the right direction where I was supposed to. I would have died and like I got shot and I was on like life support and stuff like that. And God would have took me like, you know, you're not going where I wanted you to go, so I still had a chance. And I didn't die, so I gotta have a purpose to do something. You know, obedience, like it's crazy how us humans don't catch on to everything, but you can get a dog and train them and they listen to everything, much not with a finger without them, you know. But us humans are so difficult. I know it's like bad comparing a dog to a human, but it's like, it's life. Like, we're the only like beings on here and on earth that act this way.
I want people to know that children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You know, kids have a canty ability to pick up on if you're really doing this just to say, hey, I mentor a kid, or hey, I'm really here to help you, man, for the journey, 30 years from now. You know what I'm saying? If I'm alive, you know, I want to be able to help you along the way. You know, not just, there's really not no end date on mentoring. You know, it's one of those things, when you reach out to help somebody, you know, you gotta be there for a long haul. Not saying you gotta move a kid into your house or you gotta talk to them every day, you know, but you gotta be available for that person.
But I will say the key thing is you have to do it from a selfless standpoint. If they see that you're doing it for self-gratification, if they ever see that, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. And they'll pick up on it.
My suggestion is that commitment, you know, make sure you have good character, be a good role model. Make sure you are disciplined and consistent. You know, you don't want somebody to start in 1 month and then 3 or 4 months you don't hear from them. So be consistent, be committed, and I think that will allow the next generation and the next generation to be connected.
The funding could help in being able to bring on more, I like to call them life coaches / child advocates. Because essentially what we're doing is advocating for kids. You gotta do some things You know, when I first started working in this field, I was working in detention facilities where, you know, it was some rough kids. It was level 8 facilities, level 10 facilities, where you gotta restrain these kids. You know, you gotta break up fights. But now, where I'm at now, I'm more, you know, able to be available and bounce around to school. People say, that's your job? Man, you don't know, this came with a cost. This came with a cost. This wasn't overnight. So sometimes people see where you're at now, but they don't see the work that you put in the beginning. My compensation isn't what's needed. It's funding for housing, clothes, field trips, and other necessary resources to give these kids a chance. The mentees are many, but the mentors are few. Search your heart to see what you can do. As a mentor, a volunteer, a donor, or just to intercede with prayer.
Front line of faith, no turning back now. Kill, steal, destroy. This war ain't real. They tryna take out your boy. Tryna take out you. Kill, steal, destroy. This war ain't real. They tryna take out your boy. They said I'd never make it, but I'm battle tested. Now I'm armored in the word, I stay protected. Hey, used to numb the pain, tryna dodge conviction. Now I'm preaching freedom through a holy mission. Ain't no fear left, I'm walking in the light. Even in the valley, I'm built for the fight. Hey, devil on my shoulder tryna whisper that noise. But I know it's game, kill, steal, destroy. Kill, steal, destroy. This war is real, they tryna take out your boy. Tryna take out your kill, steal, destroy. This war is real, they tryna take out your boy.